And like you were saying, like, what did I like learn from that incident? I didn't learn much then, I would say. But as I got older and I matured more, and even up to now, it's like, as I've gotten closer, you know, being I'll be 50 next year, like you, getting closer to God and like really honing in on that relationship. Something that I've been working on a lot for the last like 3 to 5 years. I've learned that God's had his hand on me the whole time, and I was meant for a higher purpose to do way better things, and probably even greater things than I know now that are still to come. That's what gets me up every morning, is knowing that like I could easily, not just that incident, there's so many other times that I came like closer to death that I didn't die, and like I pushed the envelope doing, you know, not too smart of things, and I'm still here. You know, I'm still here, and I'm still here for a reason, and I firmly believe that. I really, really believe that. So, like, yeah.
How unfortunate are the lives of people who have not had those type of experiences?
Yeah.
Give me a hug, dog. Let's get this started. What's up, brother? Hey, ring the bell and touch the old broken bell. All right, here we go. So, all right, here we go. Welcome back to Let's See What Happens podcast. My name is Ray. I'm your host, and it's a great day to be alive. If you have not already subscribed, please smash the subscribe button, give us a like, participate by leaving a comment. Most important, share the podcast with everybody you know. Any type of support helps the channel grow. I'm excited for this one today. We have a Let's See What Happens podcast alumni and a member of the Society of Bell Ringers. He was on episode number 1, and now he's back for episode number 21. No such thing as coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, and I believe that he is here today for a reason, an important reason. First name, where'd you grow up?
Angelo Gino Sabadine. Grew up in East LA, Monterey Park, Rosemead, then to Whittier.
All right. Thank you for carving time out of your day and sharing with us your attention, your energy, and most important, man, I really want to thank you for always having my back and supporting whatever it is that I'm doing, dog. That I big time appreciate you, brother. Welcome back to the fucking podcast, dog.
Of course, man, always.
So, like I said, you've been on it before. We've had, multiple conversations, but I want listeners who don't know you, I want them to get a better idea of who you are, know you a little more. Can you share with us any information you feel is important so that people can paint a better picture of you and understand more who it is that you are?
Sure. So I'm just a guy getting through life. First and foremost, I'm a Christian, and I think that matters the most, and it resonates into everything that I do. Secondly, I'm a husband of 24 years. Thirdly, I have 3 beautiful children, ages 23, 20, and 17. And I've been fortunate enough to have a beautiful, blessed life. And I firmly believe that I live the beautiful, blessed life that I do now because of the adversity and tumultuous life I had prior. And every day I'm just trying to figure out how I can do better by my family, my marriage, my community at large, my friends, everybody I come in contact with, and just really make the world a better place, and be a beacon of hope for I would say for men in general, of of being men and getting back to being men and what that means, and having a fraternity of men and a brotherhood of any kind that's positive and constructive, that doesn't involve, always having to have a beer in your hand or, smoking a joint or whatever it is, which I don't have a problem with in general. It's just not my thing. But I think in general, we really need to inject more of that into society, of men being men under constructive circumstances and passing that on to their sons, to the kids that they mentor, coach, teach, family members, everybody. So that's pretty much it.
The last time that you were on, you made a statement that I started using. You used the phrase "stand in the gap."
Yes.
Standing in the gap between, and the way that I interpreted this is like standing in the gap between people that you're protecting, any type of negativity from. Like, you are there to stop that negativity before it reaches whoever it is that you're protecting. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like family, right? It doesn't always have to be family. It doesn't always have to be friends. It doesn't always have to be somebody that you know. And it's like, a couple of days ago, I witnessed a car accident, right? And I was like, it was a pretty good one too. It was like somebody that was making a left-hand turn, and the oncoming car, boom! I don't know whose fault it was or what happened.
A nasty one.
Dude, it was a good boom, and it just, oh shit! And I jumped out of the car. And I wanted just to make sure that everybody was good. Hey, you good? And the lady, because the horn was honking, I was like, oh my God, please don't let me see somebody bent over on the steering wheel with their head on the horn causing this to honk. I hit the man up, hey, you good? And he was like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, shit, all right. So then I went over to the car that the horn was honking, and it was a lady, and she tells me, I'm pregnant, call 911. I went, oh, damn. It's call 911. And they're like, hey, we already got the phone call. We have people that are on the way. I was like, all right, cool. Hung out until the ambulance and the sheriff's department showed up, and then I took off. I didn't wait around to see what was happening. And that is an example, for me being the example to my kids, because I had two in the car, of example of somebody, I would say, standing in the gap, someone stepping up and helping. You see something going down, you step up and you help. But I also told my kids to always make sure that it's safe, make sure that it's not dangerous, because whatever it is that's happening, you don't want it to happen to you either. You know what I mean? So you inspire me to stand in the gap. Thank you for that.
Awesome. That's cool.
So what's up, dog? What do you have going on exciting in your life right now, man? You got a couple things. I know you have a couple things going on that are exciting, sure, that I want to know about. I want to know. So you're a businessman. Can you please talk about your business a little bit?
Sure.
What motivated you to start that business? Yes. And what motivated you to start that business, man? And what do you got going on right now? Because you make short videos, you make reels, giving people information about your business and how to do things correctly, right?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Let me hear about this, dude. What's going on?
Yeah. So, I've been in finance and real estate for the better part of 23 years, and been doing it on my own for going on 21. And now my oldest daughter, she works with me, so I'm mentoring her. She's helping me. She's shadowing me. And she's my assistant, and she has her license, and she's doing everything, and she's just getting up to speed. So it's interesting.
It's like you started a family business.
Yeah,
right?
It was never my intention, but my oldest, I raised every single one of my kids with an entrepreneurial mindset, and meaning that your ultimate goal should always be to be your own boss somehow, some way, no matter how long it takes, no matter what discipline of work you're in. At some point, even if it's when you retire, like dude, even you, like when you retire, you're probably going to own a private security company of some kind, or somebody that goes hunts people down because you're good at it.
Yeah.
Right. So that should always, that should always be on somebody's mind, because it's the ultimate freedom. And Gone are the days where there's loyalty of people working somewhere 20, 30, 40 years and taking care of them at the end, There was a time for that, and I still believe there is, but you always have to have a contingency plan when things change because the financial world's so tumultuous. So I always raise my kids with, for example, with an entrepreneurial mindset. For example,
entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah,
I like that.
Be an entrepreneur. So, for example, when my kids were growing up, I would purposely, they'd save money for their birthdays or for Christmas, and they'd have their little stash. And I'd be like, no, you can't spend all your money right away. So I would purposely go and borrow money from them. And I say, hey, you got to charge me interest. I'm going to borrow this money because I need it. I don't have cash right now. I need $25 to, pay this or pay the gardener or whatever it is. I make up some BS and I'd be like, but, I can't pay you back till next week. So you and I have to agree on an amount that I'm going to pay you back, and it can't be the same amount because I'm renting this money from you. Oh, well, why? No, I don't want to charge you. You're my dad. I said, it's not about that. It's that there's a need, and you're there to fill it, and you have to be paid for your services, because your time is not free. I said, did you save that money, or did you just go and you're saving it for something, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, well, then, can you go, if I borrow this from you, can you go and get that? Well, no, I have to wait now. I said, well, then you have to be compensated for that. What's compensation? And then
Dude,
I would
that's
tell
a
them.
great idea, man. Lending out money, right? Borrowing money from them and then telling them that you will pay them back what you borrow, but more on top of that.
Yeah.
And you're making money on the money that you're lending out. That's a great idea, Gino. Keep going, dude. I'm going to start doing that with my kids, man.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, dude.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily because I wanted them to be bankers, but it put in their mind from a very young age that my time and my effort is assigned to some sort of dollar sign, or either you're doing it because you want to do it, but understand what you're sacrificing. Like, for instance, if you go and volunteer and you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, but you're giving up work or you're giving up your time, and there's a dollar amount assigned to that. It doesn't mean that everything's about money, but it does mean that, hey, if you're going to trade your time in for money, you have to understand exactly what's the risk involved. How invasive is it? What are you giving up to do that? And is it worth it? And that's just in general, that. I think that's a concept of life that most people should look at. If they did, then I think a lot less people would waste time with what they do and how they do things and how they move. And going back to the last time I was on, it was totally different times. Remember that? It was crazy. It was I think we were in COVID or right out of COVID, or I think we were right out of COVID, right?
Right out of COVID. Yeah.
Right out of
Yeah,
COVID.
it was right out of COVID,
Yeah,
bro.
right in the middle of the last administration, and not to go into politics too much, but it was tumultuous times. I mean, you had standing in the gap's a big deal, you know, and it's crazy because a lot of people did, and a lot of people I see now are embracing, their roles. I'm just speaking for men in general because I'm not a woman, but they're embracing their roles as men, whatever that is. And I mean, I'm talking from teenagers. They're understanding what it is to be a man and growing up to be a man, and and sometimes that means being in uncomfortable situations, and that means voluntarily putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and adversity, knowing because it's tempering you, just like a sword is sharpened coming out of the fire and it's pounded on. That's what you have to do to temper yourself as a man on a daily basis. Whether you're a young man, whether you're a boy, I do it with my son, and my son's 17 and my son's autistic. And I'm very blessed that he's pretty high functioning. He does everything himself, but even with him, he understands. He does Jiu Jitsu. He
does, dude. Yeah,
we just went camping, together, and we had great father and son time. And
just you two?
just him and I.
Oh, that's cool, man.
And But other little things, whenever I'm with him, I'm like, hey, this is right, this is wrong, this is what you have to do. His mom's very, very, I'm very blessed that my wife's very old school. So she makes him do chores. He has to do things. There's the same thing. There's effort and there's work for compensation. You don't get anything. You don't get anything in my house unless you pull your weight. And that's just in general. So yeah, it was totally different times.
Hey, I was having a conversation the other day, and the topic of the importance of getting your ass kicked, of an ass kicking. And it could be any type of ass kicking, man. It could be a physical ass kicking, it could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be, spiritual. It could just getting, knocked down for whatever reason it is. It could be anything. But having to being in a situation where you have to get yourself back up, dust off, and get back at it. I think that with every hard situation that you're in and you don't come up on top, because we don't always fucking win. We might not always win on paper. You know what I'm saying? But you win with the lesson you pull from that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with every punch in the mouth, with every time that you get your ass knocked down, it's an opportunity to learn a lesson. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to teach somebody else what you learned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love that you're a big advocate of that, and you are a you practice it, and you're teaching it now with your boy. Because you train jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
How many times are you put in a situation in jiu-jitsu where, you're a black belt? You're a black belt for how long? How long have you been a black belt?
9 years now.
For 9 years, dog. And I'm sure that you are still put in situations where they get the better hand of you. They get the upper hand. They get the best of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we all need that.
There's a saying in jiu-jitsu, you'll like this one because it resonates exactly with what you're saying. It says either you win or you learn.
Boom. Exactly.
Yeah. And I've learned...
Could you say that again, please?
Either you win or you learn. And I've learned more, and this is probably throughout my whole life, but I've learned more in jiu-jitsu, if we're applying it to that. I've learned more losing than I ever have winning. 100%.
And you had an opportunity
100%.
A couple of weeks back to address the St. Paul varsity football team.
Yeah.
What's up, Papa? My boys. What did you tell him? Because I know that right there is like what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like that was an opportunity for you to do what it is that you naturally do. And I couldn't go. I couldn't make it. I would love to have went.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you said.
I told him the truth. I told him the truth. And I felt the need to speak up for all of us, at least for us, like you couldn't be there. But I told him the truth. I said, hey, I haven't been to a game all year, but I watch, where I can. I see, I study things. I see you guys play. And I said, I just told him, I said, there's things that you're failing at that you have control. You're not getting a lot of times when you're losing, it's because you guys aren't taking it upon yourself to put in the reps on your own to be great at the small things that you can control. And you're just going through the motions and you're just doing what you're told. So you're never going to win like that. You may win some games, but you're not going to win like that. And that's not the culture that we come from. The culture that we come from and that this place was founded on is being best at the fundamentals, being best at first steps, being best at not being beat off the ball, things that you can control. And I don't see any of that. I see a bunch of, you guys making a bunch of preventable mental mistakes. And when alumni see that, like I see that, like bottom line, it hurts us. We watch and we see that because no matter what, for better or for worse, we'll never turn our back on this place. And we're part of the legacy that you play for on the field every Friday. And when we see that, it bothers us. When we see you lose, it bothers us, especially when it's preventable. And especially we know that you're armed with some of the best coaches in the area to be able to do that. That give you guys full support. And I said, here, and it alluded to this point, because the first thing I said, hey, who are the leaders in this room? Bro, like only 3 people raised their hand. And then I said, who are the seniors? And I said, that's the problem right there. So you have a lack of leadership and accountability in this room. So nobody wants to hold themselves accountable. Everybody just wants to do the bare minimum. Everybody is more worried about their 5 seconds of fame than they are about conquering and slaying dragons and being a legacy and really putting your stamp on this year. And I said that culture has to change. If you want things to change, that's going to have to change.
I feel like that's exactly what they needed to hear. The whole situation that you stated right now, like, where are the leaders at? Everybody would have fucking raised their hand. It doesn't matter if you're a captain. You're you know what I mean? Like, boom, like our class would have, and I don't know. I think it's just different times.
Yeah,
I think that's all it is. It's nothing. It's just a product of different times. You know what I mean? And it's something that it's like a place you have. You're homesick for a place that'll never exist again.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And I think that I've come to that conclusion. You know,
but there's a huge revival, man. I can tell you that there's a huge revival going on right now.
Where do you see that at?
Oh man, so the best thing that the powers that be, call it whatever you want, could have ever done is be draconian with their authoritarian rule about COVID, because that radicalized 4 generations of young folks to understand that they don't want to be under anyone's control. Mm-hmm. They don't want control asserted on them, and they don't want to be under anyone's control, and they're paying attention. They're paying attention to politics. They're paying attention to local politics. They're paying attention to how they speak to people. They're paying attention to everything. Some of them are finally figuring out, and this isn't for everybody, that college is not for everybody. You have kids learning trades, at 15 years old, learning to weld because they love it, learning to work on cars, learning to do different type of mechanical things, because they understand that, hey, I can't sit in a classroom, get a piece of paper, and I'm never going to be, a liberal arts major. So, and I don't think I have the stamina or the discipline to become an engineer and stay in school for 6 years. So I'm going to learn a trade. I'm going to learn something. I'm going to be really good at it. I'm going to hit the ground running, and I'm going to make my mark. And there's a lot of that going on. And with that, they want freedom. When you take things away from kids, and if you give them a reason of why it's a good idea, then generally they'll understand and it'll register. But if you just take things away from them and there's no valid reason to do that, and then as those kids mature, they understand, they're like, hey, you did nothing but just hold a hammer over my head because you could, because you were able to. And that's never as soon as my legs are big enough to stand up, that's never going to happen again.
Hey, that sounds like a description of a a very strict parent, like an overly strict parent over a child.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that puts the child in a position to rebel.
Yep.
And that's you're giving an example of that type of a situation. Dude, COVID was crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy times. And then how they rolled that into the election and how all of that happened. But to me, I mean, I really think it was a wake-up call that the country needed, because there was so many people like not standing in the gap. There was so many people that just did not want to be bothered and wanted to go about their business. And as long as it didn't affect them having their phone and being able to order Uber Eats, they were fine with whatever was going on and however it was going on, no matter how much it burnt down the country for generations to come. They didn't care. And now they're all paying attention. They're like, oh, wait a minute. And now we have like this huge revival of kids that are, let's just call it what it is. I mean, it's sad to say, but now if you're not, if you're not a total bootlicking, the government can do no wrong, and whatever the local politician or national politician says, then you're not a good you're not a good Democrat, then you're conservative, even if you're independent, even if you don't like the current administration, whatever it is. If you disagree and you question anything objectively, for your own self, I mean, you're considered conservative. It's like, really? Because, I'm asking questions because I want to know, and I want you to give me reasons of why you're doing what you're doing. I want to know where money's going. I want to know how things are being spent. I want to know, hey, why are we spending money over here when there's a huge need here? And, these people are born here, and these people are suffering. And, we have problems at home. Why are we doing this, that, and the other? Because they're your friends. Like, that's not cool. And there's a huge generation that they're all questioning it, and they didn't care before.
Okay, so hard men create good times create weak men create hard times create hard men. It's like a cycle, right?
Yeah.
So that cycle of COVID created a certain type of reaction from the younger people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And is that kind of like where we're at right now? Because the way that we were raised, right? Our generation, we were raised a certain way. And I feel like we're using that to raise our kids. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like there was like like the everybody gets a trophy generation. We saw them get raised. We witnessed it.
Yeah.
And we were able to say, hey, that's not going to end up well.
Yeah.
I could have predicted.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Just
for sure.
Based on watching that group receive what they did without working hard for it.
Yeah.
Or just being...
bending the rules for them too.
Yeah,
for their feelings.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that fucking... I'm sorry, I'm trying to stop cussing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do. In the show, The Bad News Bears, do you remember when they gave him the second place?
Of course.
And he told it was Tanner.
Yeah.
Tanner and the Bad News Bears. He told him, take this trophy and stick it up your ass. And he threw it. And then, they were all partying with beer, like throwing the beer all over the place, whatever, right? But that's us.
Yeah.
Take this second place and stick it up your ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know about that shit. But that everybody gets a trophy generation, they were all getting fucking first place. They're all getting trophies for just showing up.
Yeah.
And we saw that.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that's the way that, if you're gonna equip a human with the proper tools to be successful and navigate life, you're doing them. You're taking tools away from them by not having them work for something.
You're creating a society of dependence, and for anybody to think that things are done for any other reason than that, you're foolish, because that's really what they want. They want the system. The current system, and it's kind of what I'm most proud of at the current administration is they're not trying to grow the government. They're trying to make the government smaller. They're trying to get rid of programs, get rid of agencies, get rid of that sort of stuff, because the other model was, and this didn't matter if it was right or left, all the deep state establishment people, their idea was to grow the government so big, to have so much overreach in every facet of American life, that eventually everybody depends on the government in one way or another. We all do in general, because we live in this country and we're a community, but they wanted it to the umpteenth level. It's like, oh, it's the same thing. And it all alludes back to socialism, and it's nasty brother communism. That's just basically what it is. If you're dependent on the government, then you can never question what I'm doing. And the minute you do, you're evil. It's like, I'll give you an example. Okay, let's just look at the two sides of the political spectrum in this country. On the left, and it didn't used to be like this, like the Kennedy Democrats, when my mom's era, those people, that were part of the civil rights movement, all that stuff. If you question at all any of their actions or motives of what they're doing, they immediately all turn on you, they ostracize you, they cancel you, and you're the enemy. Where on the right side, they want you to question, and anybody that calls out anybody's BS is like, okay, well, let's look at it. Or you have somebody saying, you're full of shit, and I'll tell you why. And here's why I don't agree with that. And the other person will come back. That's what brings about change. Okay, that's what brings about when you're doing the same thing over again, and there's fine tuning going on, and there's criticism, and there's questions, and there's looking at things and taking them apart objectively and trying to improve it. That's the American way. That's the American way. That's the way we do things. It's in every facet of life. You talk to anybody that doesn't come from this country, they're going to tell you the same thing. They're going to say, America's always obsessed with making everything bigger, faster, and stronger. You took the English bull terrier and you made the American pit bull. It had to be bigger, faster, and stronger because that's how you guys are, and more vicious. And it's like, yeah, that's how we are. That's America, man.
But that is also like, that's nature, right?
Yep.
That's life. That's life. You always want to
evolve or die.
And it's not even like, it's like the natural, I like when you want something, like, I don't know what you would call it. I can't think of the word, but when you want to grow, you want to grow, you want to make yourself better, you want to test yourself, you want to try different experiences for the purpose of growth. You want to grow. You just don't want to stay.
You want to evolve.
Dude, all right. Hey, so you mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you're starting. What is your podcast going to be called?
Black Belt Mindset.
That got me thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this I'm going to relate what I've been thinking about to what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I started thinking about what is the black belt mindset.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, a black belt mindset doesn't have to be related to an art, a fighting art, right? Somewhere where you earn a black belt. A black belt mindset is once you reach a certain level and you're recognized as being a black belt in whatever it is that you're doing, right? It doesn't mean that that's the end point.
Yeah.
There's more. There's still more growth you can work on and accomplish. And I think that's what the black belt mindset is for me. Just because you reach a certain point of success doesn't mean you stop there. That means that you keep going. That's just like a marker of your path. And without the mindset to want to continue moving on, I don't think that the black belt would ever be achieved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So the ethos to me of the black belt mindset and how it plays into my life is to earn my black belt. Like, first of all, I had to like totally and completely abandon any sort of ego, any sort of like self-talk that was a false narrative. Like, you just basically, you enter into a grueling state of like 5 to 10 years of just getting your ass kicked, and you figure out really quick, like, okay, when something doesn't work, there has to be a shift or you give up. And I'm not, me, I'm not a quitter. So you figure out real fast, and you figure out on the fly sometimes, shit, this didn't work. I have to augment, and I have to articulate things a little different, and I have to do this in order to have success. Boom, this worked. Oh, okay, I did that, it didn't work. Okay. Make a change on the fly, do something different. Okay, that didn't work. Oh man, the whole thing just went up in flames. Then after that day, you sit back, why did this happen? How did it start? Let me break it down. Let me reevaluate. Let me look at it. Whereas the egocentric person, they see it as, they're going to start making excuses of why that happened, and none of them have to do with the person in the mirror. So, or your actions, which ultimately, that's the only person to blame. That's just in general, that's how it is. So the black belt mindset, I see a lot of people applying it that never trained a day in their life. Business owners that I know, people that were grinding for decades failed at multiple businesses until like things finally hit. They never gave up. I know plenty of people like that. And those are the people that I'm going to focus on. And those aren't just entrepreneurs. Those are people that, you know, that work hourly jobs, that work grinds, that do it, that no matter what, everybody has a success story, because it's hard. Life is difficult, and you learn every day how to do things right, how to do things wrong, and it's up to you whether you apply it to the next day or not.
Absolutely, dude. Because the black belt mindset can be applied to life,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And like, this is just exactly like what you said right now. And so, okay, so son, brother, father, you are a Christian, business owner, black belt, soon to be host of you're already host of a podcast. What fuels you? In order to get all this done, you have to be motivated, right? But what fuels the motivation for you? Where do you go, or what is it? You know, I don't know what it is that you do. Everybody is different. What fuels your motivation?
So first of all, like my faith, number one, and number two, like from training, the gift that I was given from training and from putting in that time that I did, made me realize like there's so much, a combination of those two things, that there's so much life has to offer for you, but you got to put in the work, like no matter what, whether it's getting in your Bible, or whether it's getting on the mat, or whether it's learning whatever discipline that you're trying to be a master of, or trying to gain skills at. You got to put in the work. You got to study. You got to practice. You have to do that. So, but what I learned is, if you accept that mode of operation and the way you do things, life's so much more enjoyable. There's so many things out there that you can learn. And in this day and age, with like YouTube University and so much information out there, I mean, you could learn to do anything if you really want to, you know. And like we weren't put on this earth to just do one thing. We were put on this earth. I mean, like, I heard something really profound, and I know it goes around a lot, but I'm like, that's exactly right. And I think you'll like this one. It says, we are not humans living a spiritual experience. We are spirits living a human experience. Yeah. I agree 100%. And I was just like, you know, that's so true, because when we die, you know, our beliefs, like, we go on, and, you know, we live in paradise, you know, with all of our loved ones, you know, with our Creator. I mean, that's what we do. So like, when I think about things in those terms, this life is so short, and it's like, why not enjoy every single day? Why not learn? Why not be better? Why not like love on the people that you say mean the most to you while you're here? You know, like I look at my parents and my relationship with them, and there's, it's not necessarily regret, but I just wish they would have taken more time to love on themselves a little more.
What do you mean?
Just more time to do the things that they love to do without constantly worrying about other people and what's going on. But in the end, I mean, that was how they wanted to spend their time, and I understand that, and I get it. But I don't think, like, I look back on their lives, and a lot of it has to do with their upbringing and how rough it was. But they never really got that time to just be like, hey, I want to do this for me. You know, I want to do this for me, and to be able to do those things. And I think that would have been good for them, you know.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. So that is what you wished for your parents, right?
Sure.
So because now, do you Do you put that into practice for yourself?
Yeah, I do. Reason being is because I think, and I've just learned this, like I said, just from training and stuff, and also like in my faith, there's, as a parent, no matter what, like you, me, we're fathers. Like, you're always going to be in the service of others to the day you die. It's just, that's a reality. But I have figured out through my experience that you can be in better service of the people you love the most if you take care of yourself.
Bingo.
Yeah. If you take care of yourself, and it's not just going to the gym, it's not just training, it's being a better version of yourself on a daily basis. It's being the same version of yourself, but understanding that, hey, all right, you know, that saying that I raised my kids with since, and they say it all the time. They're like, yeah, Dad, I know. I'm like, be 1% better today. You know, get 1% better today. 1% better every day. You know, because that's what it's about. Doesn't mean that you're not good enough today. It just means that there's, you know, just try. You know, whatever it is. Maybe you're great at something, but you're not so great at something else. Let's work on that today. Let's be better at that today. Or how can you make things, another thing too that I've learned is you got to make things fun, man. Like, even I'm 49 years old, and I get up and train every morning. You know, I lift first, and then I go and train with awesome men, you know, and we BS, and it's like everyone's in high school cracking jokes on each other. You know, everyone like making fun of, oh, I just choked you. Oh, dude, you freaking, you're trying to rip my arm off. That, like, stuff like that. It's like, it's funny, dude. You know, just like total locker room type of banter. Just like, it's so necessary and valuable. And I just, like, I would, if I had it my way, I would create a fraternity like that for everybody, for them to be able to interact with each other on a daily basis. It doesn't have to be through training, but something that's positive or constructive, whether it be learning to fish or do some like wilding, whatever it is. Just learning to do something where there's a camaraderie towards a common goal in short little increments before you start your day, and you go out and grind. It just makes everything more purposeful, and you understand after. Like I've recently just been training in the morning early because I have to, because of work and stuff. And you understand throughout the day, you're like, hey, I got to make today count. You know, I just put this work in. It's just like somebody when you go to the gym in the morning, it's like, hey, I already did this. I got to eat good the rest of the day. It's the same thing like with the rest of your life. Hey, I got to make today count. You know, I already did this. It's like, I got to make today count. You can't waste it. Nope.
You can't waste the work.
Nope, not at all. Don't, like, I have friends, dude, that they specifically only work out so they can go drink and party and eat like crap on the weekends.
I think I'm I'm kind of guilty of that.
So, hey, we all are, man. I am too, so to a certain extent.
I am. So this is something that I'm going to start. I'm going to say it out loud too, to hold myself accountable to this. But I have been messing around with, because I drink on the weekends, right? I don't drink during the week. I'll drink on the weekends. I drink socially. But I have not been happy with the way I feel the next day.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That becomes more prevalent when you get older, too.
That's what I'm talking about. So I've been thinking of slowing it down and not drinking as much, to where I do have the hangover the next day, or I'm fucked up the next day because I got fucked up the day before. And I'm gonna slow it down. I might even go like a month sober. I had a couple beers yesterday, but I was like, why am I even doing this? I don't need the, I had fucking tacos and I wanted to have a cold Corona. They have cold Coronas in the ice chest, and I said to myself, you know what? That cold Corona with the lime will go good with this plate.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that.
So boom, and it was good. And then I had, let me get another one. You know what? Let me get another one. I had like 4 or 5 yesterday. But I was thinking to myself after, I was like, you know what? I feel like I could have had a good night without those.
Sure.
You know, so I think that's a journey that I'm going to be taking pretty soon.
Here's a little advice. And I don't really drink. I drink once in a while. Last time I drank, honestly, was Christmas Eve, because it was my first Christmas Eve without my dad, and we always cook together. We make Italian seafood, like a big seafood medley for the whole family. It's an Italian tradition. His dad did it. His dad before, like for hundreds of years, we've done that in my family. But it was my first year without him, so like I drank, dude, and I drank. It was like I started drinking early, and I never do that. Like I didn't at all, and to the point where like because my daughters are old enough and they were helping. They're like, Dad, they're like, just relax, Dad, sit down, we'll do everything. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm like, okay, this is not good. And like I even told him, I said, hey, I didn't know, and I didn't eat before, and I was really stressed out because of the whole situation with my dad, and I started like making little mistakes, and I just told my kids right away. I said, hey, I'm not like, you guys take over for right now. Let me just take a little bit. And I did. I went and rested, ate a little bit, and then everything came around, and we knocked everything out. Everything was great. But after it was all done, I started drinking again, like at night. You know, my sister came over and she was sad. And so like we started taking shots, of vodka. And dude, I threw up, and I hadn't done that since like, probably since the last time, like probably since like the last time you and I were like, we'd go out and party on the weekends or something.
You got loaded, Dick? You were loaded then, right?
Dude, I threw up. Yeah, I threw up, and it was my kids saw that. And then the thing that really bothered me is they were just the look the next morning, they were laughing at me. Even my son, they're like, Dad, you got sick because you drank. I'm like, Yeah, I did. I'm like, that's why you don't do that. So, but just a word of advice, dude, if you're going to do that, be more strategic about it. Like, let's say, if you want to hit the ground running Monday morning because you're going to work out and you're going to go to the gym, or you're going to have to work and you want to start the week off with a clear head, dude, drink like Saturday during the day, but prior to that, drink some electrolytes, make sure you're well hydrated, do all the planning before, that's going to do two things for you. One, it's going to make sure that you don't feel like crap for 3 days afterwards, and you can notice a difference, especially when you start eating really clean and you're like, you introduce alcohol and you weren't properly hydrated, and you're like, oh man, why am I dragging ass in the gym today? And it's like, because you drank 3 days ago, right? Or 2 days ago. That, and the other thing, it's, to do it right so you don't have that hangover and everything, it's kind of a pain in the ass. You're like, dude, all right, if I want to drink, I'm going to make sure I take my electrolytes, make sure I hydrate well, make sure I'm hydrating while I'm drinking. It's like, and then you're going to really be like, why am I doing this? And once in a while, it's going to be fun. Once in a while, you're going to do it because it's fun. But the other times you're like, okay, like I really don't want to feel like that. So I'm going to do this before, but this is a pain in the ass. I don't really want to do that. So that'll deter you from doing it often in general. And you have to take care of yourself, man. I mean, you do. Like
that, because of me, I'm turning 50 next year.
Yeah.
I'm 49 years old. I'm turning 50 next year. It's a big event.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to it, dog, that's more than half of your life.
Yeah.
That is
gone.
Fucking gone, bro.
Gone.
You know what I mean?
Gone.
And so I have been on a mission to lose weight, to get healthier, to grow in a positive direction. We all have a vision in our mind, an idea of what we look like when we reach our full potential.
Yeah.
Or always try to reach your full potential, because your full potential, is just always finding room to grow. Because there's no end to that.
Yeah.
And in that work of trying to reach your full potential, you're presenting the best version of yourself that you could possibly do in that work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, reading, working out, being a good father to my sons, being a good example, making myself happy. We've talked about that before, and I feel that I could be doing more with my time than recovering from drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So that
100%.
is where I'm at right now with my mentality and the direction that I'm fucking slowly moving. And I'm moving in that direction. But then, Because like the other night, my wife and I, we went out for dinner, and I had like 3 drinks, got a little head change, smashed the steak, went to Del Rey. That's when we Saturday check. Where are you at?
Place. Yeah.
So hit the Del Rey, ate a steak, ate a good meal that night, man. I had a couple of beers, but you woke up the next day cool. Woke up good. Yesterday, like I had a couple. I woke up today cool. I'm not drinking no fucking 18 beers on one night anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that those days are over.
Yeah.
I think. And it's good. Funny sitting here with you right now and talking about this. Okay, so freshman year, me, you, Andy Tellez, Art Varela. I forget who else, man. Rich, Morris, Eric Gonzalez. We went to Art Varela's grandfather's house.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
In Rolling Heights, right here in Rolling Heights.
Yeah.
And it was just us. And then all of a sudden, 40s appeared.
Yeah.
Of Old English.
Yeah.
And I remember we were drinking those 40s on the side of the house. And I remember specifically have this memory of me and you being on the side of the pad and just boom, 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 smashing the OE, bro. Boom, 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 boom. And I remember you said, fucking bull. You said that like fucking bull. Because I remember I gave it to you and you smashed it too. We went inside and then I remember we were all wrestling. Yeah. I remember we were all wrestling, right? We jumped Art for his birthday.
Yeah.
And then it was also Andy's. So it must have been around this time right here because both of those guys' birthdays are coming up.
Yeah.
And so then I remember we jumped Andy as well for his birthday. You know what I mean? Those are good memories, man. Memories that I have of you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That was after, when that was? Mm-hmm. That was after we won league.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Remember?
It makes sense, man. That makes a lot of sense, man. Dude, that was a good, all right, number 30. I want to get into, okay, so let's go right back to what you were talking about, man. I just wanted to inject that memory.
Yeah.
Real fast, right?
That's awesome. But leading back to what you were saying, like the mentality that I live my life with now is that I'm preparing myself for battles and accomplishments that are greater than anything that I faced yet. And if you think about it like that, it puts everything into perspective on what you do, how you move, and how you spend your time.
Can you say that again, please?
So the mentality is you're preparing yourself for battles and accomplishments, things you're going to accomplish and adversity you've faced in the past. You're preparing yourself for those future adversities and those future accomplishments that are greater than anything you've faced in the past or accomplished in the past.
I like
and if you look at it like that, then it's always, it's like when everybody says you think you're bad, there's always someone badder than you. It's like, okay, well then I have to prepare myself accordingly to face that person, Like I look at it that way. It's like
face that obstacle and that also tells me that you're planning on bigger, better
100%.
things. And because 100%. You're planning on bigger, better things,
keeps your mind open.
What is it? High risk, high reward?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I like that. Hey, that fires me up. That motivates, that inspires me. That 100%. Inspires me, man. And that's what I want from this podcast. If you're inspiring me, you're inspiring somebody else that's listening.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You talked about your pops.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other day on Instagram, you posted a picture of you had him and you're kissing him. Mwah. And you said, you typed in, and I might get this a little wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. I miss you today not because things are wrong, but because everything is right.
Yeah.
And when I read that it made me cry, Gino.
Yeah.
It made me cry because I know you.
Yeah.
I know that your pops passed away. I know that your mother passed away. And that affected me, dog.
Yeah.
I felt what my mom and dad just showed up right now. I felt what you felt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, pause it right now and go talk to my mom and dad. All right, we'll be back. We're back from our break. And we're gonna pick up where we left off. And that is a picture that you posted of you and your father. You're kissing your pops, and you wrote on the bottom, "I'm missing you today, not because things are wrong, but because everything is right."
Yeah.
And I said that caused, an emotional reaction from me. It made me cry, dog.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I want to know what you meant by the statement.
So my dad passed away a year ago in July. So it's been a little over a year. And, not having him here and me being able to reflect on our relationship, on his input in my life, and me also, carrying out my duties daily of being a dad. It just, and also seeing how things are playing out in the world. It's like every day that goes by, I'm more and more grateful for the dad that I had and for the role he played in my life and how he played that role, the things that he did, the type of dad he was. And I clearly understand now that there's a difference in the way other men were raised that are my same age, even older, even a little bit younger, even a lot younger. There's a definite difference in how, and their dads were completely present, but just they're different men because of the men they were raised by, and I'm the man because of the men I was raised by. I was fortunate to have a really good old school dad. My dad was born in 36, so he's an old school guy, with old school rules and there's very punitive, very type A personality. I did get hit a lot. That's just, but I also screwed up a lot too.
Hey, I remember one time me and Gino, we've known each other for over 35 years. We have a long, big history together. And I remember one time you just grabbed your dad's hands one time.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, man, they're just like boom, big, and they're fucking thick, and it hurts.
Yeah.
With fucking fat fingers, and you're like, hey, they fucking hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look back on that, and there's a handful of times I could recall where my dad lost his patience with me, and maybe in those instances I was like, yeah, he shouldn't have hit me. But there are times that I look back, I'm like, dude, that's exactly what I needed at the time, and he didn't, he when it came to disciplining, he was a man of kind of few words, or in other arenas he wasn't really, he talked to me a lot, but he yeah, so I'm thankful for that, because I see how it plays out in my life. I see how it plays out in my children's life, because they get the dad that I got through me, kind of, but what I feel to be a better version, because there's things that I do differently that obviously than that he did, but it's still with the same intent and the same mentality, which is I love you and I want to make sure that you're going to get the best of me, and I want to make sure that I am doing the best by you by being the best father that I can. So every day that I see, every day in the world that I see things happening, and I mean almost everything, anytime you see somebody wiling out, doing dumb shit, or just whether it be committing crime, whether it be sacrificing integrity, ripping people off, whatever it was, it can be directly traced back to, to poor leadership, as parents. Some people weren't as fortunate to have a dad in their life, and poor leadership either by the mom, or the mom just couldn't do it on her own because she had to work, or however it was, but it just all goes back to poor leadership. I mean, so I'm thankful I had good leaders in my house with my mom, my dad, my brothers. I mean, I had solid leadership in my family. It wasn't always the most functional, because it was dysfunctional as hell at times, but it worked for me, and I'm thankful that I'm old enough to know the difference, and I was wise enough to know the difference from a young age of like, hey, what's right, what's wrong. My sister, actually, she's the one that, she was kind of my moral compass. She's like, just, you understand, like, the stuff that you're seeing and the things you're going through, like, some of this isn't normal and it's not right. And when you're an adult and you understand, I just want you to reflect back to this time and understand that, think about exactly this and remember what I'm saying, and you'll see what I'm saying to you is true.
What a good sister.
Yeah.
That's such, those are such wise words.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To be told to you, and like, so that kind of gave you a vision, was something to expect in the future.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I might not, I'm going to interpret this differently as I get older.
Yeah.
And I think that happens with us all too, right?
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you don't understand it.
Okay, so when I had my first son, that changed my life completely. In one of the ways that it changed my life is it gave me a better understanding of my parents.
Yeah.
Because now I got it.
Yeah.
Now I understood. I got it. Like, everything was like, I was like, holy shit, this is how it feels to love someone more than yourself.
Yeah.
And I related that with my mother and father.
Yeah.
And that just made me love them more, to know that this is the love they had for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A couple of weeks ago, when I had my last guest on, my last show, Wandrick. What's up, Wandrick? He made a statement that changed the way that I kind of view the future. And this relates to what you're talking about right now with your pops. He says that, I'm not worried about my kids. My kids, I know that my kids are going to be good. I'm worried about my grandchildren. So he's raising his kids in a way that what he's teaching his kids will pass down to his grandkids.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we're all doing, but I never thought of it that way. I never looked at it that way. Like, I'm giving my kids tools to be successful in the world, but at the same time, I'm giving them tools that they're going to pass on to their kids.
100%.
I never looked at it that way, dude. And now because it made my perspective bigger, it just doesn't end at my kids now. It goes on to, I'm even looking further in the future of my family now.
Yeah.
I told Darda the other day, I want to word this correctly. Let's be the type of parents whose pictures are up in the houses of our future ancestors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, that's the type of parent that I want to be to my kids, to where they're like, well, hey, where'd this come from? Oh, this came from grandma and grandpa, great grandma and grandpa. Who are they? That's them right there. Oh, that's who you're always talking about? Oh, that, I want to have such an impact on my kids, such an impact on my bloodline, that the future will know that their current happiness comes from here.
Yeah.
And then where'd that come from? Oh, it came from over here. These are my parents. These are your great grandma and grandpa. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's like I was telling you earlier when I said, live your life every day like you're preparing for greater adversities and greater accomplishments. Every man on earth, yes, man, every man on earth is going to have a legacy. And it's up to you to shape how you want that legacy to be remembered. Do you want to be remembered as like the weak man in your family that let his family run wild, and that's why your kids are a mess and out of jail, not amounting to anything on the street, whatever it is? Do you want to be that guy? Because ultimately, you're accountable for that. Or do you want to be the guy that, that raises a solid family where, your kids always feel safe coming home, and you have a relationship with them, and in turn, the one thing that we have to realize as men is that if you're doing it even half right, your kids are always going to be better versions than you, than just like your dad, just like the way that your dad was a father to you, you're a better version now to your kids than he was, if you're putting any sort of effort into being a parent. So going forward, I mean, if you set the bar high, then the bar for your grandkids is going to be even higher, and they're going to have even better results, opportunities, and be way ahead of the game when it comes time for your kids to be parents.
And I'm taking that into consideration now. Like, I think about legacy a lot. I do. And the conversation I had with Rondrick helped bring it all into perspective. You know, it just validated what I already was feeling.
Yeah.
You know? Hey, one thing that I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
And I want to hear from you. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you and I have a long history together.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So this is something that we didn't cover the first time around.
Sure.
But I want to cover it because it was life changing, man.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna set it up.
Yeah.
1996, house party, East LA, in back of King Taco on 5th and Ford. You got shot.
Yeah.
You got shot, bro. And it was, you got in a fight, right?
Yeah.
You're fighting.
Yeah.
And I remember they're like, hey, Gino's fighting. I ran over there. And when I got there, I saw this. Boom.
Yeah.
And I saw the flash of the barrel, or the flash of the gun. And I saw you make that movement.
Yeah.
It moved you.
Yeah.
And then everybody scattered. I ran over to you and I got you. And you got shot. The bullet was a 38, right?
Yeah.
It went through your chest and then in your arm and out your arm.
Yep.
So when I got to you, I threw your left arm over my neck and I just started running with you out of the house, out of the party.
Yeah.
But everybody in the party was packed.
Yeah.
Everybody was bottlenecking out.
Yeah.
The same way that we were going. And I remember I was yelling, get the fuck out of the way, get the fuck out of the way. Just trying to get you out. We get to the sidewalk, I get to the front of the pad, and I was in shock because I didn't know what the hell was happening. All I knew is that you got shot. I was covered in your blood. I feel like I was I was wearing a white shirt. And I remember I was covered in blood, bro.
Yeah.
And I was running up and down the street, and I remember the street was covered in blood.
Yeah.
Our friend Willie pulls up, and he's like, what the fuck happened? And I told him, Gino got shot. And I got the door, and I threw you in his car. Dude, I ran all the way to Ford. From where the pad is at, I ran all the way to Ford with you, Gino.
Yeah.
And then I turned back around and went the other way. That's a long way to go from where we were at.
Yeah.
I ran with you down the street, and then we ran back.
Well, I remember telling you, I'm like, dude, let's keep moving. Those guys are freaking, maybe they're going to come back or whatever.
Damn.
That's all I remember.
Damn, man.
I remember vividly that part. I'm like, dude, let's just keep moving for sure. If we stay here, they're going to come back.
You see, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just like fucking just trying. I was trying to get you to the hospital, man. Or get you I don't know where the fuck I was going to get you, but I knew I had to get you somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's when Willie pulled up, and I threw you in Willie's car, and we took off, and I jumped in my car, and we took off to Beverly Hospital in Montebello.
Yeah.
And how does that, like looking back at that, how do you view it now, man? You know what I'm saying? Because you could have fucking died that night.
Yeah, it was, I don't really think about that too much. I just think about, you talk about self-accountability. Like, that was a direct result of like my actions, like leading up to that. Like, those guys, they weren't random, they're cholos. They're from the neighborhood. And I had fought like 3 of them before that. And I beat them up pretty bad. And sometimes I picked on them just because they started it first, and anytime I saw them, I would just take off on them. And like there was like a group of them, and I always had my friends with me, and a couple times they got rolled up pretty bad, and like the group of them, like against all of us, and they caught me alone, you know, and it was just the trajectory that my life was on. At that time, I liked to fight. I mean, you've known me for a long time. You know, I don't like to drink, do drugs, nothing like that. But I always liked to fight. I was always the guy that'd be like, oh yeah, like somebody would just point at somebody and be like, yeah, that guy, and I would just walk up to him and punch him in the face and it'd be on.
One event that sticks out of my mind is our freshman year, Cantwell Carnival.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Like you, I don't even know what happened, dog. But we were walking by these dudes, and you guys had a couple of words, and then you were like, "Hey, let's take a walk." And then he was like, "Nah, let's fight right here." And you're like, "No, let's go fight out. Let's go to the street. Let's fight." And he was like, "No, let's fight right here." And then you're like, "Well, no, all right then, let's go. Let's fight right here." And he was like, "No, let's go for a walk." And I was like, "What?" He was like, you know what I'm saying? Like he was like, I remember that. And I was like, oh shit, we're gonna fucking fight. And it was just me and you, and it was more of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're gonna fight all these guys right now. We're gonna get down right now.
Yeah.
Thank God it didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
We would have got jumped.
Yeah.
But yes, you were a fighter.
Yeah.
You still are a fighter.
Yeah.
You just channeled that energy into something positive where you're able to do it. You know what I'm saying? Without going to jail.
Yeah.
Or getting killed.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up fighting. Like I had 2 older brothers, an older sister that was pretty tough. I got beat up by everybody. So like, and I was bigger for my age, you know, I was a little overweight. And so I got picked on a lot by older kids. So like, I don't know, they thought they were going to bully me or what. And I'm like, man, I got brothers that are 13, 14 years older than me and a sister that's 7, and they beat me up, you know, when I get out of hand. It's like, you think I'm scared of you? It's like, nah, I would fight, like no matter what. Growing up where we did, there was, you know, large gang presence. Like that was just the culture then. And like, you know, those guys always wanted to fight somebody. And I was like, all right, like, or they try to punk you for whatever, or, you know, jump you into the neighborhood, whatever they're trying to do. But it was like, no, we're fighting. That's it. And then like I learned from that young age that if you fight, like eventually, especially if you get the best of them, they're going to leave you alone. And as long as you don't make noise about it, like they're going to leave you alone. It's like, nah, it's kind of like, it's like the honey badger, right? It's like if they know there's going to be problems to eat that meal, they're not going to pick, they're going to go pick on somebody else. So I learned that law of the jungle, like really early. And then I discovered within me that I liked that. I had a lot of things going on at home too. It was like, you know, it was not the best environment at times. So like had anger issues as a kid, and it was a perfect outlet. So yeah, it almost cost me my life.
Hey, do you remember what it felt like?
Getting shot? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sucked. It burnt. And I hand to God, I have no shame in telling anybody that. I just I remember. So I got it. It was 3 guys that were trying to jump me, and the first guy I immediately folded. The second guy, I remember hitting him and putting him in a front headlock, and the guy pointed a gun to my head.
They told me that you were choking some dude out.
Yeah, and he goes, "Let him go right now, or I'm gonna blow your head off." And he put the gun to my head, and so I let him go, and then I started running, and somebody punched me in the back of the head, and I was like, man. I remember this is how it played out. I was running to jump the wall, and then somebody punched me in the back of the head. I said, man, I'm not going to live my life paralyzed. This guy's going to shoot me in the back, and I'm going to be paralyzed. So maybe I'll have a chance at hitting the guy with the gun. So I turned around. It was like the machine gun drill. They were coming at me. Boom, boom, boom. We were fighting. And then I remember hitting this dude. I remember hearing the flash of hearing the gun go off. And I remember I was hitting this guy. The gun went off, and my hand made contact with his face, and he went like this, but I didn't feel my hand hit his face, and it was because I had been shot, and it nicked my nerve in my arm. And then, not gonna lie, man, after that I laid on the floor and acted like I was dead, so they would leave. Right? Yeah, yeah. And then I was like, damn, I'm gonna die. And then you came. And actually, my shout out to John Briones. He's the only one of my friends that I went with that night that didn't leave. Everyone else, they ran. I don't talk to them anymore to this day. for that reason. To me, that's unforgivable because I would never do that. But and they were supposed to be tough and know how to fight, and they didn't. They ran.
John Briones was there. I remember John.
Yeah. He was there.
What's up, John? What's up, dog?
Yeah, John don't like to fight. John was never a fighter, but he stuck around, dude. You know, he stuck around to help, and like he was like, nah. He's like he wasn't gonna leave his friend. That's like that just proves, man. I mean, that's like you can't either have it or you don't. You know, and it goes back to being raised by a strong man. John was raised by
fight
a strong man.
Fight or flight.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I couldn't feel my arm, but I was like, man, I don't think I'm gonna die because I'm not. I looked down and I was bleeding pretty good, but not like it wasn't gushing. I didn't.
You're
have
bleeding
like,
a lot, bro.
Yeah, I didn't have like an arterial bleed. It wasn't like gushing anywhere. So I'm like, man, well maybe I live, maybe I don't. I got to get out of here. And then luckily we went out, and then and actually like Willie, we were hanging out a lot at that time. And he's the one that freaking him and I fought those guys a couple times.
At 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
In Alhambra, I remember that.
Yeah. And so luckily he was there. And then the biggest takeaway from that incident that I remembered that I was like, I can't be doing this no more, was that we were on our way to the hospital. And then some dudes freaking wanted to fight us on the way to the hospital.
Okay, so let me tell that story. So we're fucking jamming down 3rd Street. We're jamming down 3rd Street. You and Willie in the front car. And I'm in the car behind us, behind you guys. And a car busts a U-turn. And comes up on the side of me and tells me, bull, that's that motherfucker Willie. Let's get him. And it was a guy named Victor from Cathedral who had beef with Willie from Cantwell, and they had fought before, and he didn't know that because I knew all kinds of people at that time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they didn't know that I knew them. And I told Victor, hey, not tonight, my homeboy got shot. And when I asked him, my homeboy got shot, and he says, oh, all right. He told me, all right. He hit the brakes, and we kept going. And yeah, that's how crazy it was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But that was the thing, that was the biggest takeaway from that night. That I said, man, I gotta stop doing this, dude, because like here I am, we're jamming down freaking 3rd, turning into Beverly to go to Beverly Hospital, and some other dudes that my friend had beef with, which they have beef with me if they have beef with my friends. So like some other guys on the way trying to freaking not die, and they want to fight us, from a whole different other group of people that we had like had problems with before. So I was like, dude, no more.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
And I remember the following weekend, the following week, or was it the day after?
It was the day after. No, it was Sunday.
No, wait,
that
the
happened
day
Friday
after.
night. That happened Friday night, and it was Sunday.
I saw you at the King of Barbecues.
Yeah.
Dude, what's up with that, bro?
I was supposed to fight there, like organized fight, but I couldn't because obviously I just got shot. But I was like, nah, because I wasn't gonna let anybody know that like you don't scare me. Like I'm still here. You didn't kill me. I'm right here.
Yeah, those are that time. I'm sorry.
No, and it was funny because I had told everybody that I wanted to go out, and dude, all my friends from all walks of life, they all showed up that day. They're like, dude, if anybody shows up, they're gonna get some too. And I must have had like 30 guys that cared about me, and they're like, dude, you're crazy. What? You just got? I'm like, nah, man. No, I'm not gonna walk around in fear. They said, okay, then I'm gonna go. And then they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to go. And they had like, because people were calling to check up on me. So everybody showed up and they converged. Luckily, nothing happened. Probably kind of dumb, but at the same time, I was like, nah. It's like, and I never let it like drill fear into me for that reason. And, but yeah, that ended up getting consolidated and settled after that whole event. Because there was a whole other series of stuff that I won't talk about, but yeah, those were the times we're in. So,
and that is such a and that time in our life right there was out on the weekends partying. I remember you had what was it, a Scout, or what did you have?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was a good time too. That Scout was a good time. I remember one Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
I don't even know how we ended up together.
Yeah.
I think we both showed up somewhere and we just ended up being there together. And my homeboy Taco, rest in peace, we ended up in your car.
Yeah.
And we were driving, dude. We went from like from East LA to West LA. We were at Julie's, and then from Julie's we went to Leonardo's in downtown, which ended up turning into Vertigo's.
Yeah.
I remember just being out. We were at fucking El Sereno that day too.
Yeah.
Like we were just like going from barbecue to barbecue, just partying, having a good time. And that was that time in our lives where we were just out there. And my dad would always tell me, the more that you are out, the higher the odds of something happening to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I had a couple of things that happened to me in my life. I got jumped a couple of times. I got stabbed. I've had guns pulled out on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been at parties where there's been, shootings, and I've witnessed and experienced a lot. But to have the type of experience that you did, where you were shot, where you could have died, that's a big experience to look back on, and to really, really be grateful for the life that you're living, and to also, you can teach your kids from that.
Yeah.
Because you have the scars to show.
Yeah.
What is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man. Hey, to your life, bro.
Hey, man.
To your life, bro.
Thank God I'm alive. But it goes back to the bigger picture. It's like after that, I went, kind of sent me in another direction of just walking a different path, and not necessarily in a good direction, but it was eye-opening for sure. And later on in my life, it did change. I was like, nah, I got to do things different. I want more out of my life than this. My life's worth more than doing, than living the way I was living at the time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it changed the trajectory of my life. It's something I've talked to my kids about individually at different times, of like the whole big picture of how your actions have consequences, and it may not have consequences today or tomorrow, but eventually, you're going to have to pay the ticket. That's just the way it is. And you reap what you sow. And it's just, that's the reality of things. So just be very, very careful with how you conduct yourself, and who you say things to, and how you say them, and how you act and how you move in public and in private.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I like how you said that you might, like somewhere down the line, you're going to have to fucking, you have to pay for your actions. There's consequences to your actions. You might not have to pay right then and then, but somewhere down the line in the future, that's a possibility. You're going to get taxed.
100%.
And karma.
Yep.
It could be in a at the karmic level. It might not be related to what it is that you owe for, but karma always comes back to establish balance.
Yeah.
To establish balance, you take, you give, you take. There's the level of the universal law of balance that needs to be achieved.
100%. And like you were saying, like what did I learn from that incident? I didn't learn much then, I would say, but as I got older and I matured more, and even up to now, it's like as I've gotten closer, being I'll be 50 next year, like you, getting closer to God and like really honing in on that relationship, something that I've been working on a lot for the last like 3 to 5 years. I've learned that God's had his hand on me the whole time, and I was meant for a higher purpose, to do way better things, and probably even greater things than I know now, that are still to come. That's what gets me up every morning, is knowing that like I could easily, not just that incident, there's so many other times that I came like closer to death that I didn't die, and like I pushed the envelope doing, not too smart of things, and I'm still here. I'm still here, and I'm still here for a reason, and I firmly believe that. I really, really believe that. So like, yeah.
How unfortunate are the lives of people who have not had those type of experiences?
Yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like how unfortunate are the lives of the people who have not who have not lived that type of life where you're putting yourself in situations to where you're being tested, to where you're getting punched in the mouth, to where you're having to get up, dust yourself off and keep moving, where you are facing fears. You're facing fears that, you have no other option but to either keep going or to not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, those are the types of experiences that make people who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you are a product of your past. We all are a product of our past.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's what we fucking bring to the table, dog. And when I say how unfortunate are the lives of the people that have not experienced life, I fucking mean it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad for those people. Like, I have conversations with people and we talk about like what you've done, the A, B, C, and D, right? And I'm like, fuck, man, like, I have lived a pretty exciting life.
Yeah.
And I give thanks to that. And for that reason that I just said, that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. Because I want to get guys like you on, come and tell your story.
Yeah.
Talk about your experiences. Share that. Because there's some people who have not had that type of exposure. And with the stories that are being told and with people sharing their experiences, that might help somebody out in their lives.
Yeah.
For whatever. It might cause them to realize, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to take a little more chances in my life. Maybe I need to be a little bit more daring. Maybe I need to, have that entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start a podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start working out. Maybe I should stop drinking. Maybe
Yeah, no, 100%. I firmly believe that. And I try to, and I don't try to preach to people, but anybody that allows me, or like they ask me for advice, or they ask me questions, or they want to get to know me, like, I'm an open book. I tell them everything because I don't want people making the same mistakes I did. Even though I don't really see people living their lives that way as much anymore. But at the same time, it's like, if anybody can learn anything from me, I always want it to be what not to do first before it's ever what to do. Because you can't understand or appreciate the information or instruction you're getting from somebody until you understand the failures that they've had and the regrets that they have before any of the accomplishments. Like, I get people in the jiu-jitsu community, I get people asking me like, hey, you're a 6-time world champ. You're like, how did you do this? How did you do that? I'm like, dude, because I was horrible and I didn't want to be horrible. I wanted to be good. And like, so I asked people that mattered to me, I asked them, hey, what do I need to do? And that's what I did. And I mirrored the people around me that were successful. And I was lucky to come up with a good group of guys that, and be around a good group of men that were doing big things, that had a lot more ability than I did and more knowledge at the time, that I just followed them around, and I did what they were doing, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, anytime anybody asks me for advice, or I make sure that they understand, hey, full disclosure, I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. Yes, I'm a Christian, but I'm not a perfect Christian. I don't know everything, and I make mistakes every day. I still, backslide in a lot of ways. I make mistakes, but my intention is always to be the best, and always to represent myself, my family, and my faith at the highest level with the most integrity that I possibly can. Do I get that right all the time? No, I don't. But I'm used to failing, but I'm not used to giving up. It's like one thing, like Goggins said that stuck with me, that I've learned. He said, you didn't fail at that. You only fail when you give up. That's just a failed attempt. That's just your whatever number attempt. You know, when you give up, that's when you fail. So if you don't give up, then you never fail. And that I firmly believe that applies to life all the way around. So, yeah, in general, that's pretty much how it is.
Where have you been? Where are you at? Where do you see yourself going in the future?
So,
What does the future have for you, big dog?
I don't know, but all I know is I'm honing and preparing every single day for bigger and better things. Not just for me, but for my family and, you know, hopefully for my friends and everybody around me. I could bring about good and positive change. So, you know, I've owned my own business for 21 years. I've been on my own in finance and real estate. And prior to that, I worked for somebody else. I had good mentors that taught me exactly what to do. And I took at that time, because I wasn't training yet, but I took the sports approach. You know, I went and found, you know, the guy that nobody could stick around because he was such a jerk, and like, but he was really good at what he did. But you know, nobody would last with that guy. Like, he would run him out of the room just because of his attitude. And I'm like, man, you know how many coaches I had like that? And the best coaches I had were exactly like that. They were mean as nails, dude. They still are. And I have relationships with them still, right? But so that guy, he taught me a lot, and I learned a lot from him. And then I moved on from there. I went to work at 2 other places after that. And then I went to work on my own. And it was the best decision that I ever made. I remember my wife, when I told her that I wanted to work on my own, she was scared. She was just like, "What? Are you sure? What about this? Look, you have it so good here. You know, we're doing well. You know, finally. You know, are you sure?" She said, "What? But how?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but it's just, I got to take the chance now." I said, "I can always go back to work for somebody else. Let's just try it." And the rest was history. But I had a good woman behind me to support me and make sure that I had everything that I needed to be able to build that. And so without her, I wouldn't have been able to do any of it.
To your wife.
To my wife.
Boom.
Yeah.
We're toasting with water. Okay, so I'm going to start wrapping this up. Okay, so who is a person, right? Who is a person that motivates you? Like, who is someone who you could say right now, hey, they motivate you, and you know, give them a big thanks for the motivation. You know.
Shoot, there's several people, so I'll just go down the list.
Oh, shit, let's do this. Yeah.
Like, for sure, my parents, they're not here anymore, but thank you for laying the groundwork and for giving me the nuts and bolts to do everything, and the support when I didn't deserve it, I don't feel, to you know, believing in me and investing in me when they didn't have to, and just always constantly loving me, but in the right way, where it wasn't detrimental to my growth. My wife, man, we've been married for 24 years, and we've only known each other for 25. Like, our stories, I met my wife in October, we got married in July, and my wife got pregnant in September, and that's how fast it happened.
Bang.
Yep. And for me, if I wouldn't have done it like that, I think I'd probably still be single. But I met my wife, and I knew, you know, she was worth shoving in all the chips for, just to take a gamble on maybe being happy and being married, and it paid off. And I'm thankful she was crazy enough as well to believe me and to take the chance, you know. But she's been the cornerstone to everything I've done, anything I've accomplished. Like, when you come to my office, any of the medals that you see or awards that I've gotten for work or for whatever it is, or things I've accomplished, or the things that I have, we've built it all together. And the other people are, you know, my brothers. They were always there, and my sister. They were always very supportive. and all my coaches over the years, my coach that gave me my black belt, he's a different breed, man. He's that guy. He's never missed a tournament, not just for me, but for any of his students. I don't know how he does it. I mean, I've seen him go to 3 different cities and not in the same state in like 3 days to be able to coach everybody. But he was one of the guys. He was winning at the time. He was great. He was like in the height of his competition career, and he wasn't the nicest dude at the time. But I was used to that because I had hard coaches my whole life, and I just did whatever he did, and rattled off all those world championships under his mentorship. My first jiu-jitsu coach, he lives in New Zealand now, but he was instrumental. He put good fundamentals down for my kids, and he's the one that actually got me started in jiu-jitsu for real. He's like, hey, your kids are doing it. Why don't you, come try it out? And the rest was history. We got to enjoy that time together, my kids and I, training and competing together. And it's invaluable time that I could never thank them enough for. That it's changed my life and changed the trajectory of my life in so many ways. So, yeah.
Damn,
and
to all of them, man.
Yeah, and above all else, I'll just, like I said, just God, because I was meant to be alive now and to be here for a much bigger purpose than I even understand. And every day I try to honor that by being better.
Damn. To all, I mean, that means a lot to hear. It means a lot to hear for the recognition, recognizing the people who have impacted your life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I hope that show this to them. You know what I mean? I want them to see this so that they know what they mean to you. And I think that everybody needs to hear about how everybody needs to hear about how they inspire other people.
Yeah.
Because, I think everybody's walking around and not really aware of how they are positively affecting people.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you to do that, to recognize them and let them know, So one thing that I started to do, I started to ask my guests to leave a question for the next guest.
Mm-hmm.
So Wandrick, this is the question that he left for you. What is stopping you right now from accomplishing? What is stopping you from accomplishing all that you want to get done?
2 things. Experience that I feel I have to gain, and execution. So as soon as I get enough experience in whatever I want to do and the ideas that I have, which I already have a very good idea what I want to do, then it's just executing, because I already have the discipline. I already have the work ethic. I already have the support. My daughter works with me now, so she's 23 and she's phenomenal when it comes to anything digital. So that kind of by proxy, I'm plugged in with what's presently happening. So it's just those 2 things, and I can tell you this much: the time's coming, and I'm gonna do it. And you'll see. There's a couple things that I'm doing. The podcast is one of them. I built out a section of my office with all foamed out, and just specifically for that in mind, that and to film content. I've also been thinking about it a lot, and I actually it's funny you said that. I talked to my wife about it yesterday. I want to do a men's fellowship and Bible study within the community of jiu-jitsu, but welcome to all men, a fraternity of where men that are not just that are entrepreneurs, but that are family men that know what it's like, that are seeking to better themselves, however it is, where we can all collectively share information on how to do that within the course of also studying biblical principles and but just allowing that, because I feel that there's a big change going on right now in the world where men are getting back to being men. We have we've been suppressing that for quite a while, but now the gloves are finally off, and nobody cares what other people think about them, and they're actually doing what they're supposed to do, what they should have been doing all along. But I don't feel that we're working together as men collectively to fast track that, because we have time to make up. I would say there's 2 generations at least, maybe 3, where we don't where men don't know how to do those things. They don't know how to teach the next generation of men how to be men, and what it means to be men, what it means to be a highly principled man, what it means to, have good ethics, values, how to put yourself in harm's way if need be, to resolve, conflict even peacefully, but just how to get up and say something, how to speak up. I just feel there's so many men walking through life doing that on their own, because everybody's so scared of what the next person's going to think about them. So I kind of want to create a little bit of a safe space collectively for men young and old to bounce ideas off of each other, and also understand that those principles, no matter how you slice it, they're rooted in the Bible. Something that I recently learned, and that, it's an inconvenient truth for everybody, and too bad, that 40% of the bibliography and the influence behind the drafting and execution of the Bill of Rights and Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, 40% of that, guess what the source was? The Bible.
No shit.
Yeah. And the first thing that the founding fathers, the first law that they passed, or the first thing that they passed when it came to establishing their government, is they wanted a call to prayer before every meeting. That's the one thing they agreed on. You're talking about guys from rich guys to poor guys. They were all together collectively coming together to form this country. And, we need to get back to that. The biggest message I can say to men, within the context of your question that your last guest led for me, it's the worst thing on earth is making excuses and being wasted talent, especially as a man. Because if you're not living to your full potential, or at least trying to on a daily basis, you may think you're doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing the people that look up to you and that you're responsible for even a greater disservice, and the people that aren't even in existence yet. Your future family, like you said, you're going to be the ancestor of somebody. You're letting them down when you do that. So I'm a lot of people are pessimistic about the times we're going through. I see a huge revival in this country, and I see men finally being comfortable with being themselves, and I want to be a part of that change and enhancement, and making it okay to be that. For example, when I started Jiu Jitsu, when I started Jiu Jitsu, it was all hippies and skaters. They smoke weed before practice, and everyone stunk, and I was like, dude, you smell like a freaking ashtray. Bro, you don't see that anymore now. Now all the people coming in, they're all dudes in their 30s, because they don't have anywhere where they can go to be able to be a man, be able to let out, this aggression, and be able to learn. Because the biggest thing is, I feel now, is men learning to control their emotions, especially under duress. Learn to control your emotions, learn to control, whether you're in an argument with your wife, your kids, on the street, that will tear down relationships faster and uglier than anything. Saying the wrong thing, not holding your tongue, thinking about yourself instead of the other person when you're in an argument. Do you want to just win, or what are you trying to accomplish? Because if you're trying to accomplish something, being emotional is not the right answer. You may win the argument, but you're not gonna accomplish your objective. I had somebody tell me one time, I asked him for marital advice. He's all, first, before we start this conversation, because I had an argument with my wife. He's like, I'm going to tell you one thing, and I need you to remember it if you're going to talk to me about this, because he'd been married a long time. He's like, I personally would rather be married than right. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, I understand. And it's true. It's like, if you really think about it, like, as men, if we want to be right in an argument, like, one, we know most women aren't going to take the L. You know, they're never going to say I was wrong. But the other side, it's like, at what cost? It's like, it's not about right or wrong. If you love somebody, you know, and this goes for friends, family, coworkers, you know, your wife, whatever it is, who, you know, and I'm going to cuss, who gives a shit who's right or wrong? The only thing that matters at the end of the day is that one side feels heard, the other person feels heard, and you guys move on with a solution. And that's it. And that, to me, that goes way beyond right and wrong, because that shows admiration, respect for the relationship, and love for each other. And that you actually care about that person's opinion. So,
And enough sense to be self-aware.
yeah, 100%. And sometimes, man, I'm sorry, but when you make a mistake, you have to say, hey, I made a mistake.
Huh.
Yeah. And there's been times where I've felt that I was not in the wrong, but I said, hey, you know what, I'm sorry. If you felt that way, I'm sorry. I care about you way too much to make you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And later, I've noticed as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at practicing that. I think both my parents passing away, like, really put into perspective how short life is, and how delicate it is, and how little time you truly get with the people that mean the most to you here. So
That means a lot right there.
yeah.
That means a lot. And it's I don't know, an event like that, losing your parents,
Yeah.
will quickly teach you what is important in life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And,
I'll tell you one pivotal moment real quick. My dad got sick. Okay. My dad was in, his health was on and off.
This is making me want to call my mom and dad right now, dude.
Yeah. His health was on and off, but I just looked to my wife, and I was concerned, because my dad was who he was. He's old school, you know, very machista, old school Italian dude, you know. And him and my wife, sometimes they didn't get along. Not they got along great, but sometimes my dad would line step. That was just him. He'd say some backhanded compliment or make some dumb remark, and I'd have to tell him, hey, dude, like, not in my house, Pop. You can't be saying that or doing that. And so it was so I was nervous about it, and I told my wife, I'm like, man, my dad's, you know, he's getting to the point, I don't know, it's not healthy. And my wife, dude, without
Yeah.
my wife, without skipping a beat, she said, no, bring him. She goes, what? She goes, what, so what are you thinking? She's like, bring him here. She's like, make sure he comes here. He's not going anywhere else. And I gave her the biggest hug, and I said, I thought you were going to have a problem with that. She's like, I know how much you love your dad.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no matter what, even if you guys don't get along all the time, no matter how he is, I know how much you love your dad. And I know that's important to you. And I said, yeah, you're absolutely right. And man, it wasn't the easiest times, because it was tough living with my dad, but the last years that he lived with me most of the time. He would go off on his own and stomp out mad or whatever, and leave for a little while. But for the majority of the time, he got to live with me for like the last 2.5 years. And that was, man, he formed such a bond with my son that they didn't really get too much time together before that, and my other kids. And like, it was just, it was just great. And even me, I mean, even though sometimes we'd beef because my dad is my dad, but I feel blessed for that time. It was like, it was awesome. And like my wife did a lot of the heavy lifting when it came to taking care of my dad, making sure, he had, because I was working and, doing stuff, and like my wife helped me out in that way, and that, dude, I mean, like when I say, if you have a good woman, that's something that I could never, ever, ever, ever like even measure. Like that was like, wow. And she did it without a beat, like not even, and she had every right to, because my dad was like difficult, dude, and difficult with her because she was a different type of person, and he was difficult with her, and she had every right to be like, nah, or whatever it is. And she was like, she didn't even skip a beat, dude. And when he showed up, she showed nothing but love, compassion, and grace for him, and patience, even more than me, way more than me. And like collectively as a family, like we got to enjoy and take care of my dad. And I know that he left this place knowing that he was greatly loved, not just by my family, but by everybody, because my dad was always present. And I'm glad that we got to be present for him in the last time that he had.
That's your wife knew the right thing to do at the right time, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's huge, man. You are so lucky to have that type of a partner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, we already toasted to your wife. Let's toast her again.
Right.
But to your pops, man.
For sure.
Oh, to your pops, bro. Okay. If you were able to give your freshman self any advice, what would the advice be?
Don't worry about what's going on around you. Just focus on the task at hand and what you're doing, and everything else won't matter other than what you're doing during this time. Focus more on school and your craft of being a better athlete and a better person than anything that's going on around you, whether it be friends, especially family, anything else that's going around. Just put your nose down and just work.
It's good advice.
How about you? I'm going to ask you the same thing.
All right. Well, the advice that I would give my freshman self is to take time and realize what it is that is important to you. What do you like? What do you like to do? What's important to you, so that you don't waste your resources on anything that doesn't deserve it, and to only worry about what you have control over. Yeah. Because there's so many things out there that we have no control over, that we're wasting our resources on. Yeah. So instead, focus on what it is that you can control, and that's yourself. You can't control anything that's happening out there. You could only control the way that you respond to it. And that is advice that was given to me by my pops when I was a freshman. But I was too young, and I was not aware and focused, and I had not grown enough to understand the knowledge that he was giving to me. I didn't get it. Later on in life, when my whole world got bigger, I grew, I got smarter, I became more self-aware. I revisited that advice that was given to me by my pops, and it made sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I was able to give my freshman year self advice, that's something that's a big part of the advice I would give myself, because from there you could build on that. You know, like slow it down a little bit. You don't got to slow it down so that you are able to be more aware of who you are. Be more aware of yourself. You know, I was aware, but I was not entirely self-aware. And I think that's just something that comes with maturity.
Yeah.
You know?
And your environment too.
Yeah. And I would, that's probably what I would, that's the advice I would give to myself,
Yeah.
As a freshman,
I think you and I had something in common. That's why we've stayed friends this long.
Absolutely.
Is that time in our lives that we came up in, like we were around guys that lived a lot of life, and they were doing wild things, and you and I were kind of like, we were babies in that regards. Like I had been and seen a lot of things growing up, but I was like, whoa, what's this, dude? Like, really? You're pushing the envelope that far? What, your parents will let you do that? You serious? What do you mean? What? And it was just like, no way. Like, who's watching? No, nobody's here. Like, and you and I were just like deer in the headlights. Like, wow.
Just getting exposed.
Yeah, I remember times you and I were like, no, we're not going.
Yeah.
We're not going because that's I don't even want to know what's going to happen. But all I know is that there's nothing good. I'm at it, and make up an excuse, lie, say, oh, we had to do this or that, or like however it is. So
yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah,
100. We came up with some fucking psychopaths, dude.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And because of them, because of those guys, we are who we are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like we did not always not participate.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
There were times where we learned from them. We went with them while they pushed the envelope.
Yeah.
To on their where you know what I'm saying?
To make sure they were okay. To make sure they were okay.
And we all have like one thing that I learned at St. Paul. At St. Paul, when we got there, I got exposed to a whole different fucking world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And me and Eric Gonzalez, we talked about this when he was on the podcast. We had, up to that point in my life, I had reached an area where I thought that was my border.
Yeah.
That was a barrier.
Yeah.
And at St. Paul, I crossed and went so much further than that barrier as to what I thought I was capable of.
Yeah.
What I thought I was able to do, like my mental toughness, physical toughness, my fucking spirit. I learned so much about myself at St. Paul because of what we did there, because of the football program.
Yeah.
And to the limits that we were pushed.
Yeah.
And then I was exposed to all these other dudes that were there, who were also pushing the envelope in their life.
Yeah.
They were also growing and passing barriers that they had established for themselves at a young age.
For sure.
So here I am. Not only am I experiencing the barriers that I'm pushing, my envelope that I'm pushing, but these motherfuckers are pushing their envelope as well. And I'm right there fucking with them, enjoying the ride.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and if you think about it, like, we were all there for the same goal, but we all got the discipline for different reasons. Like, a lot of those guys, they needed discipline in their life to keep them out of major trouble, whereas we needed the discipline in our lives to not necessarily to keep me out of trouble, because I already kind of knew because I had older siblings, but to rise to the occasion and do better things. Mm-hmm. But it's crazy because it's like we had the same goal and we had the same we had to toe the same line, but at the same time, those people, they needed it to basically to save them, right? And I needed it to grow and to become like a young man, and to do it that way. And but it's crazy how when you have that in common, like all those years, no matter how different you are, that'll always be a relatable topic for the rest of your life and a relatable like experience.
Bonded us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it easier real fast.
Okay.
All right. What What question are you leaving for the next guest?
Okay. What are you doing to reach the highest level of your potential? What's holding you back from doing that if you're not? And how are you bringing about positive change within society, but mainly with men and future generations going forward?
All right. Any final words?
Nah, that's it. Just stay busy, stay grinding, and stay faithful.
Oh, hey, once again, thank you for carving time out of your day, carving time out of your life, sharing your attention, sharing your energy. You brought positive fucking energy into my path today. I'm inspired by being here with you and talking with you right now. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to light the fucking world on fire, dog.
Attaboy.
Give me a hug, Holmes. Love you, dog.
Love you too, man.